Good morning. Today at Toronto Police Headquarters, Superintendent Michael Barsky will be releasing the results of Project Heavy Bag. Superintendent?
Good morning. Thank you. Today we have the Unit Commander of Number 23 Division, Superintendent Ron Tavner, and the Unit Commander of our Hold-Up Squad, Acting Inspector Richard Harris, here with us. This is just a great example of the partnership that goes on between divisional policing and uniform policing at its core. And the resolve of this investigation is a great example of the importance of these areas working together in order to enhance community safety. As such, I'm going to turn over to Inspector Harris for a full briefing on what exactly transpired in relation to Project Heavy Bag. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Superintendent. I'm pleased to be here this morning to announce that several arrests have been made in relation to an ongoing investigation that was undertaken by members of the Hold-Up Squad. Just by way of background, this robbery investigation commenced in April of 2021 at approximately 8:55 in the morning. A violent robbery took place at a retail establishment that is used for refilling privately owned ATM machines. The ensuing investigative work and collaborative efforts, including the assistance from many of our internal investigative units, uniform personnel, and the community, has undoubtedly diminished the risk to public safety. It's alleged that the accused persons, with some degree of planning, targeted this particular location. And on the date of the incident, the victims reported two masked men, and I think it's going to be, yeah, we can play it now. Two masked men entered the premise while armed with a firearm. They forced the victim who was an actual employee into the business, and they met another employee who was working there already. They managed to make their way, that you'll see shortly, into the cash vault and managed to obtain quite a bit of money. In excess of $1 million was stolen during the course of this robbery. As you'll see shortly, these suspects loaded up a bag with quite a bit of money, as I mentioned, and they will drag it out after the robbery takes place to an awaiting getaway vehicle. We also were able to determine that the getaway vehicle was driving in tandem with another vehicle, and the occupant and driver of that vehicle has also been identified and arrested as a result of the investigation. This, as I mentioned, was an extensive investigation dubbed Project Heavy Bag, and the name is derived, as you can see, from the bag that the suspects utilize in the robbery to put all the money in. And I'm just going to touch on some of the investigative highlights. In May of this year, the seizure of a substantial amount of money was also made in an address in the northwest end of the city after a botched home invasion. So this is subsequent to this robbery. There was a botched home invasion that took place in the northwest end of the city. While police were checking on the well-being of the occupants, they recovered approximately $160,000 that was later determined to be stolen during the course of this robbery. There were no injuries in that incident, thankfully, but the suspects, who were armed as well, fled prior to police arrival. Members of the Hold-Up Squad, with the assistance of our colleagues from Intelligence Services, Mobile Support Services, the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force, Forensic Identification Services, were able to identify and further investigate those responsible for this robbery that we're discussing this morning. Pleased to announce that on September the 9th this year, suspect Devontae Virgo was arrested for his role in this robbery in the area of Roncesvalles Avenue and Queensway in the city of Toronto. In a vehicle that he was occupying, along with another female acquaintance, Courtney Martin, 22 years of age, Mississauga, a fully loaded 9mm Glock handgun, an extended magazine containing 22 rounds of ammunition were located and seized upon his arrest. Both Martin and Virgo are now facing firearm-related charges as well, and I'll list out the charges that Mr. Virgo is also facing in relation to the robbery. Subsequent to the arrest of Virgo on September 9th, investigators from the Hold-Up Squad with the assistance from the Toronto Police Service Emergency Task Force, Major Crime and Community Response officers from 11, 12, and 23 Division, and Mobile Support Services executed 4 search warrants in the City of Toronto and in Woodbridge, York Region, and on some vehicles that were also seized as a result. Upon executing the warrants, Gabriella Belcito, 27 years of Woodbridge, and Andrew Parsons, 22 years of age of Toronto, were also arrested in relation to the robbery without incident. The 4th identified suspect remains outstanding, and I believe we're going to be able to depict a photograph of Emmanuel Rawson, 21 years of Toronto. He is currently wanted on a Canada-wide warrant in the first for his arrest for his involvement in this robbery. Out of the search warrants that were executed, quantities of cash and sought items of evidentiary value were seized in relation to the robbery. In addition, there was in excess of 300 grams of cocaine, high-capacity magazines, a large quantity of Canadian currency, and a quantity of ammunition seized as a result. 2 further individuals were arrested in relation to the items located at the residence, and they were identified as Michelle Belcito, 26 years, and Philip Nkrumah, Nkrumah. He's 36 years of Woodbridge. With the continued assistance of 22 Major Crime and the Forensic Identification Services, additional search warrants were authorized for vehicles seized during the investigation. From those vehicles, and on display here today, are 7 firearms that were seized out of one of the vehicles. And I'll just go through a list of some of the items of evidentiary value that were also seized. A total of 8 handguns were seized in this investigation. Drum-style magazines, as you can see here, which are capable of carrying numerous rounds of ammunition. Approximately 330 grams of cocaine, body armor, and numerous rounds of ammunition. It's quite clear and evident that these individuals have a huge, high propensity for violence, and this arrest definitely demonstrates our continued commitment to community safety, and we are seeking the public's assistance in arresting this outstanding individual, Mr. Rawson. And I believe there is a photograph that should be posted shortly. And I'll just name the accused again. Devontae Virgo, 23 years. He's been charged with conspiracy to commit an indictable offense, robbery while armed with a firearm, disguised with intent, several firearm-related offenses, and failure to comply with his probation, 3 counts. His next court date is October 7th, 2021 in courtroom 202 at 11 a.m. Mr. Andrew Parsons, 22 years of Toronto, has been charged with conspiracy to commit an indictable offense and robbery while armed with a firearm. His next court date is November 18th at 9 a.m. in courtroom 202 at 2201 Finch Avenue West. Gabriella Belcito, 26 years, has been charged with conspiracy to commit an indictable offense and obstruct peace officer. Courtney Martini, 22 years, has also been charged with several firearm-related offenses. Michelle Belcito, 26 years, charged with possession for the purpose of trafficking cocaine, 2 counts, and possession of proceeds of crime over $5,000. And lastly, Mr. Philip Nkrumah, 36 years, possession for the purpose of trafficking cocaine, 2 counts, possession of proceeds of crime over $5,000, multiple firearm-related offenses, failure to comply with his recognizance, and failure to comply with his probation. There is one more, sorry. Stephanie Nkrumah also faces multiple firearm-related offenses, and her next court date is October 26, courtroom 202 at 9 a.m. Subject to any questions, I'm going to let Superintendent Ron Tavener come address.
Thank you, Inspector Harris. I just want to talk a little bit about the community issues related to this offense and other violent offenses that are taking place around the city. It's pretty obvious from the display of firearms here what could happen on the street with those firearms. And to have an investigation that takes this number of firearms off the street that possibly saved countless lives. This particular incident that took place on April the 1st was a violent event that individuals committed, and it took an extreme amount of hard work, good police work, many, many hours to bring this case to a successful conclusion and arrest the parties that have been arrested to date, albeit that there is still one outstanding suspect. I want to commend the community for stepping forward to helping to resolve some of these crimes, not this one in particular, but in general, any violent crime that take place in the city involving firearms. We need the cooperation of the public to help us solve any of these crimes. So the hard work that was done by the hold-up squad and other units within Toronto Police is commendable, and I just want to share my thoughts that these firearms that have been taken off the street have possibly saved many lives, as I've said. So congratulations to the investigators and the hard work, and to the community for stepping up. Thank you.
I wonder if you could talk to us about the brazeness of this happening in the project.
What does that tell you about the people involved here and the risk and danger to the public?
Well, it's great risk, as you can see, it's depicted right there on high resolution. Well, it's great risk, as you can see, it's depicted right there on high resolution. They are armed, and thankfully, the seizure of several firearms speaks for itself in addressing public safety, because quite clearly, the propensity for violence is huge, as I said, and they are not afraid to use them.
Was this an internal situation that led to this?
That's a matter before the course I can't comment on. That's a matter before the course I can't comment on. This appears to be, there's some sort of a level of planning in this robbery, and that's all I'm able to say at this point.
You may proceed with your question. Brian from the Toronto Sun, you may proceed with your question. Please
Good morning. Just so I understand, police, you said police uncovered a part of the money at the site of a home invasion. Were the victims of the home invasion involved in the original heist?
Were the victims, sorry?
Could you repeat the last part of your question, Brian?
Yeah, sorry. If I understand, you mentioned that part of the money was uncovered at a home invasion. Were the victims of the home invasion involved in the heist?
The residence where the attempted home invasion took place is associated to Mr. Rawson.
Thank you. That's it.
Are there any other questions? If there is, you can unmute yourself, please.
Hi, it's Linda Ward from CBC.
Go
Hi,
ahead,
Linda.
Linda.
I'm just wondering what more you can tell us about the outstanding individual, what the involvement is, and where you think he may be.
His involvement, it's alleged that he is involved in this actual robbery that's taking place here that you can see on the screen. His whereabouts are unknown at this point, and that's why we're seeking the public's assistance in locating Mr. Rawson. I strongly urge that he seeks counsel and would turn himself in to any police station.
Thank you, Linda. Are there any more questions?
Hi, this is Prabjot from Red FM. A little bit about these firearms. Could you tell us if they were locally acquired or if they were smuggled in? If you could share some information about the firearms.
The investigation into the origin of the firearms is underway. What I can tell you that out of the 8 firearms, you're only seeing 7 before you hear. Of the 8, 7 of them are prohibited for possession in Canada. So I can't get much more into it. The origin of the firearms is obviously part of an ongoing investigation. Hopefully can update you at a later date.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you. That concludes today's news conference. For the video link that was presented, please view the Toronto Police Service news stories for that link. That concludes today's news conference.